very shortly. First, though, unions have disputed Southampton Council figures for job cuts next year. The council announced a figure of 100 posts this morning. The unions say that doesn't include unfilled vacancies. Well, joining me in the studio is Southampton City Council leader Royston Smith. Evening, Royston.
Evening.
Which is it then? 100 job losses or 100 plus another 100 that haven't been filled yet?
Vacant posts, Steve, are vacant posts. There's no one in them by definition. That's why they are vacant. You can call them posts if you wish, but they are not. What we're talking about is full-time equivalents, 108 of which less than 50 will be compulsory. Compare that with any comparative authority around the country and you'll find that Southampton has let the least go, and we will continue to do everything we can to keep people employed. These
are job cuts on top of the ones that were announced, I think, last year because of the budget cuts. Is that right? So does that mean then when you were doing the sums about how much people were going to have to lose from their salaries in order to make as few job losses as possible, something went wrong? Or No. We didn't say there wouldn't be any job cuts. We said the cuts to pay and terms and conditions would save 400 more. Now, you will remember that the Labour opposition in Southampton say that they would get rid of 1,500 to balance the books. What we've done is we've cut people's pay, we've found more efficiencies, we're sharing more services, we're doing it more gradually, more people are going voluntarily, and this year, and we lose people every year with efficiency savings anyway, but this year less than 50 will go compulsorily, and that is probably unprecedented in this financial crisis in the country. When you look at things like the news from the Conservative Party conference a couple of weeks ago about the council tax being frozen, does that mean that this is the kind of news that we're going to have to get used to hearing, that there will be more job cuts of this size or maybe greater over the coming months and years?
Over the years, we've always lost between 50 and 100. Every year we do that. We look for efficiencies, we look how to do things better. There were the Gershon efficiency savings that were put on us by the former government, which we accepted and we welcomed. 3% a year we had to find year on year. And if you find efficiencies, it doesn't matter how you dress it up, it's invariably a job. Or two here and there.
There must be a finite size that local government has to be, though, to do its job, and, you know, there's only so long that this can go on for before you really start to struggle.
Yeah, well, you'll start to lose services if you're not careful, and that's why it's more important to keep people in the building providing those services that the customers pay for than it is to let them all go and abandon services. In Southampton, not a single Sure Start, not a library, not a leisure centre, none of those will close. We'll keep collecting the bins weekly. These are things that other authorities simply can't do because they took the path of least resistance and they sacked hundreds, if not thousands, of staff. Some of them did it to make a point against the coalition government. Some of them did it because they had very large reserves and can pay the redundancies. In Southampton, we took the difficult choice that we would keep as many staff employed in the job, even though it's on slightly less money, and they could provide the services that the customers, our residents, deserve.
Let me talk a little bit about the strikes, and I have to word this very carefully. I got picked up on it a few times yesterday by the unions. It seems like you may have reached some kind of agreement. The unions have now got something which they're taking back to their members. There will be a ballot, I think, in November, and if that ballot comes back and the union members say, OK, it seems like that might be the end of the strikes, I think I've just about outlined that correctly.
That's right,
so can you tell me a little bit about what happened, what it was that maybe made that final breakthrough?
Well, I think that everyone knew that this couldn't go on forever. I think the one thing we all know when a strike starts is that at some point it will end. It depends how that happens, and we weren't looking for victory. We weren't looking to rub anyone's nose in it. We did it for admirable reasons, and we've proved that today when you'll see other authorities have sacked hundreds of people and we haven't. So we did it for the right reasons, but not everyone agreed with us. But we did know that eventually we'd come to some sort of compromise. We attempted a compromise frequently. We sat down with the unions dozens of times, and we finally come to a conclusion where perhaps they can be content to take that latest offer to their members. But of course, if we talk about it in any detail, then we'll potentially jeopardise it.
My wonder is that you had these figures presumably all worked out, and we were talking about in some cases a 5.5% pay cut. And I wonder if you had to, give back some of that pay cut to satisfy the unions, whether that means that somewhere down the line we're going to see some more job losses as a result of this agreement.
That's the potential. We said right at the beginning that it's all about jobs. We don't have big reserves, so we can't keep the services going without losing jobs. so we have to pay for, we have to cut our cloth accordingly. So the bigger the settlement, the more pressure that puts on jobs for Southampton. Of that, there's no doubt.
And assuming, and it's a big assumption to make, that this all now sort of pans out smoothly, do you feel like things have been handled as best they could have been? Sort of some feeling of discontent from the people that I've spoken to that this could have been sorted out a lot faster.
It should have been. It absolutely should have been. But every time we went into a room, we were prepared to compromise. We made offer after offer, and I've had this conversation with you and others in this studio before, and we never made any progress. It was nationally driven. This was the unions in London, no doubt, who wanted to ensure that Southampton didn't win this particular battle. We haven't won. What we've done is we've protected those people that were on strike, many of them from losing their jobs. Otherwise, hundreds of them would now have found their way to the dole, the same as many other authorities around the country. We've protected them, we've protected services, and we will manage to freeze council tax again for the people whose fuel is going up, whose energy bills are going up, whose food prices are going up. We're not going to add to that burden this year. So we've kept services, kept jobs, and frozen council tax, and I think that's admirable. OK,
Royston, appreciate you coming in. Royston Smith, the leader of Southampton City Council there. It's 18 minutes to 6.